and welcome back to, well, in this case, the top 10 animated films of 2022. I had intended to see at least two other movies this week, but between personal life, work, and all that, I just couldn't get around to that. So I said, okay, I'm just going to write out my top 10 list for the year, get the stuff I need ready. Those aren't going to be out till at least tomorrow. You might get the top 10 worst tomorrow. You'll definitely get both of them by Saturday, though. But I thought, you know what? Let me look real quick. And I realized I've seen 10 animated films this year. So I thought, screw it. Let's do a top 10 animated too. It's an extra video on the channel, extra views. I know I got several viewers of mine who are big animation fans. So let's get into this. Now, keep in mind, it's just my opinion. I will not be going into spoilers. I will be going into spoilers for all these films because they've been out for months, with the exception of Puss in Boots. If you want my thoughts on Puss in Boots, you can go watch my review of it. But I mean, I'll still give my thoughts on it and where it places on the list. So without further ado, let's get into it. Coming in at number 10, and there has to be a loser in this race, Paws of Fury, The Legend of Hank. Yeah, so look, I don't think anyone out there was asking for a kid-friendly animal version with TV-level budget animation of Blazing Saddles. I don't think anyone was asking for this. Who was looking at the Blazing Saddles like, who'd like this? Kids. Let's just take out the racism and still make it racism just against a dog. Seriously, this kids, if you have never seen Blazing Saddles, wait till you turn 13 and ask your parents if you can watch Blazing Saddles. One of the best comedies ever. I will not argue. Look, it's 2022. I don't give a rat's ass if that's saying. It's like, yeah, one of the best comedies ever. Yeah, there's nothing insulting about this movie. And come after this movie, nothing on this list is god awful. But it's just a bad film. Like, it's a very, very bad film. Again, not insulting. I've seen worse films in my life, but it's still bad. Like, it's just a blatant ripoff. Not even blatant. It's a blatant ripoff / remake that with only Samuel L. Jackson sounding like he's trying. Just because Samuel Jackson, even when it's a paycheck, is still putting effort in. Ricky Gervais literally is just sitting there reading lines. There is no inflection whatsoever at all. Mel Brooks at least is there to give his blessing by playing the Shogun. There's no business like Shogun business. Bite me. I love you, Mel Brooks, but bite me on that. Oh my God. The more I keep talking about, like, this was bad. It was bad. And spoilers, this will be on my top 10 worst list of the year. But like I said, everything else beyond this isn't that bad. I mean, we're still progressing up the scale. They're still going to be on the downward side of the scale, but still. Coming in number 9 is the Bob's Burgers movie. I am on the record saying I am not a Bob's Burgers fan. I never got into the show. Just not my cup of tea. One of the problems I have with the show is I don't like a lot of these characters. The kids are not very likable because you have, oh God, I can't even remember. Louise. You have Louise, Tina, and whatever the son's name is. The son is just super dumb. Like, he's like, well, you like Chris, right? Sure, in moments. But Chris is part of a world. The Griffins are part of a world where there's a lot of tune for shenanigans that still. There's a talking dog in that world, for God's sake, that no one really bats an eye at most of the time. That level of dumb works in that world. This world is very much supposed to be kind of realistic, and because of that, it hurts the characters. Like, Louise is just so out of control, like, nothing does not make sense why she's that out of control. Tina is just really odd and kind of in her own little world. Like, she may be the most realistic, but that's not saying much. Bob's maybe the only relatable one in the household because the mom is just always happy, always optimistic, and that's just not freaking reality. The only time I've seen her not be like that, I'm sure it's happened more in the show, at least once or twice minimum, is in, like, when they got, I did remember one episode where they got kidnapped by they were on that cruise, and the chef basically was kidnapping. He was like, I want you to cook for me. He has a capybara. I was like, we've been, and Bob's like, we have literally been taken hostage. And she's just, Luann, is it? The wife is literally just like, oh, well, that's fun. It's like, What meds do you need to be on to understand that this is not a good situation you're in? So I take all that into the Bob's Burger movie. What I walked out with was a resounding meh, which was a show I'm not a fan of. Is a high bar praise right there. It's like, yeah, I'm not a big fan of this, but it was meh. It could have been a lot worse. Look, it just, some of the jokes were okay. The animation looked nice, at least compared to the show. It looked nice. It's just, this should have probably been like 2-hour-long episodes with commercial break, meaning it would have been like 120 to 130 minutes long, which I think is maybe roughly where this came out to be. So that would have translated fine. You would have been having your commercial breaks. Instead, I'm like, I had to sit through this. I'm like, and even my friend who saw it with me, she was like, yeah, that's what probably worked better as some episodes. So it's not god awful. It's just meh. Coming in number 8, we have the Minions Rise of Gru, or Despicable Me, The Rise of Gru, because this is really, look, the original Minions movie is a Minions movie. It is about the Minions. Gru only shows up at the end for maybe 30 seconds or a minute to set up this movie. And that's great. That's fine. It's their movie. Here, Gru has equal, if not more, screen time than the Minions. The movie revolves actually around him. Yeah, they got the 3 Minions, Bob, Kevin, and I can't remember the third one's name, but it's going to save him. So the Minions that you focus on are these guys. But by all accounts, this is a Despicable Me prequel movie, not a Minions sequel movie. But with that said, as such, it's a fun little time, certainly. You buy the relationships for what they are. Gru is delightfully annoying and evil. The villains are actually pretty hardcore at points, like they're gonna kill this kid. Yeah, like the animation's a lot of fun. You get some good soundtracks in there. So, I mean, look, is it amazing? God, no. Is it fine for your kids, especially if they like this kind of movie? Sure, I can't say anything really bad about it. Just like I can't say anything really bad, surprisingly, about League of Super Pets. I was shocked how good League of Super Pets actually was. Because I'm seeing this movie, I'm like, okay, I'll get a couple. Come, go watch League of Super Pets. We'll have some laughs. Yeah, I'm like, I think the problem is they just didn't really market this film very well. The film barely made its budget back. And I do mean barely on that. It didn't manage to eke past that the amount it needed to make its money back, from what I could tell. But and that's assuming I got my guesses right on the marketing. But overall, it just wasn't well marketed. But you watch this movie, and it looks very colorful, bright, vibrant. The characters are also likable. Like, Crypto is a dick, but A, it's The Rock, so he's got a likable charm to his voice anyway. And B, he actually has to learn a lesson about being, a team player, not being so full of himself, all that. The shelter animals, the turtle, I like the turtle a lot. The squirrel, Ace, they're a lot of fun. And then the villain is actually, Lulu is actually pretty entertaining. That final fight at the end is like out of a video game. This crystalline giant bald guinea pig. Man, it is actually pretty fun. If I were to say there's any downside to the movie, it is when you cut to the Justice League characters. They're not all that interesting. I mean, they're fine, but they're not they're not like because they're not the center of the movie. They're not really fleshed out and don't have a lot of jokes to them. They still are animated well when they actually show up at the fight near the end. That's handled fine. So they're not god awful characters. It's just the film kind of slows whenever we're getting around to them. Overall, I had a good time with the film. It was surprising. Now, while this does rank higher at our number 6 spot, it is a kind of mixed bag. So at number 6, we have Lightyear. Lightyear is probably and let me just double checking everything else I have on the list here. Yep. Lightyear is probably the most disappointing film on this list. Because this one, the trailers were really good. Like, I thought, anyway, the trailers were good. I mean, as you get David Bowie's, he has the star man, and Unfortunately, this film lost money at lost a lot of money at the box office. And I think one of the problems with that is, even though I like the trailer, when I hear people kind of bring up why it maybe didn't make as much, they make a solid point that they really weren't marketing this film well in the sense of, is this a buzz? This is Pixar? Is this part of the Toy Story world? Wait, this is the movie Andy saw, which I now, well, in hindsight, now I'm really trying to sit with it, I'm like, this is not the movie Andy saw with the Buzz Lightyear toy you get. That's just not it. Like the TV show Buzz Lightyear is the Buzz Lightyear Andy saw. And then people are wondering why it wasn't Tim Allen. That part never bothered me. I didn't. If anything, that looks more like Chris Evans than it does Tim Allen anyway. So none of that ever bothered me. But the reason I say this is probably most disappointing because for the first half of the film, I am there. Maybe even 2/3. I am there. Like that first 30 minutes is, oh my God, it's so good. Them getting to the planet, him constantly jumping, I think it's like every 4 years in time while he basically doesn't age. His friends, his family, or friends, his coworker, they're all aging and having lives. That scene at the end where, well, not the end, but scene where he comes back for the final time, where he sees the hologram that his friend ultimately left for him. Man, I could hear my friend, same friend, I could hear her choking up. I was choking up to, like, that was so beautiful. People, and by the way, people getting upset for, it's like, oh my God, they're putting the gay agenda. They have a gay couple in there. It's like, well, guess what? They exist. You don't like that? Go stick your head in the sand for the rest of your life. So yeah, that was such a, oh God, even by dumb argument standards, that was a dumb argument. But yeah, and so it's like, then always gotta like try to save the day, save the future, all that. So it starts off really strong. And then we get into the final act. And it's like, wait, Zurg is farther future Buzz? And this doesn't even make sense by further future Buzz's, like, and then like, oh yeah, you're trying to make these people who are very incompetent, extremely incompetent, seem competent, and then you give them Space Rangers. Like, no, none of this works. So it's like, it has this great, like, I shake, it was so good. This fantastic first third to 2/3. Fantastic, really good second act. And then a okay ending, which leads it to being, instead of a fantastic, one of the best movies of the year movie, to a good movie. And that just sucks, because it really had a lot of potential. So that is our number 6 spot. We are in the top 5 now. Coming in at the number 5 spot, we have Strange World. Strange World, the reason Strange World actually ranks higher for me than Lightyear and the other films too, is that it was able to keep its focus pretty well. The themes of fathers and sons and their relationship, the idea of this world, seeing as this film's been out now and bombed, sadly, I can go into spoilers. The reveal of what the world is, the world turtle. It's the world turtle is what it is. Which I'm like, and when you look back at everything going on, there's like, if I had like been thinking outside the box, I would have figured that this is such a cool idea. It's visually so unique. The characters are actually pretty solid. So why does it only rank at number 5? Because it is just, as I said, with the best way to describe it is the best way to describe the characters. Really solid. There is, besides the fact that it is visually great to look at. I wouldn't have mind seeing this in 3D, honestly. This could have been really cool in 3D. Besides the fact that it's visually great to look at, despite the fact that the characters are solid, there's not much to the story. You gotta save. It turns out they're actually the bad guys to some degree. And there's no villain, which I didn't both appreciate and kind of like, we kind of like, maybe Jaeger or Clay, the dad, kind of ends up being the grandfather, I guess, kind of ends up being the villain at the end, and that could have been cool, and then maybe he gets reformed. Like, most of the time the villain gets defeated, but what if you reform the villain? That could have been a lot more. It's like he's so hell-bent that he's jeopardizing their own mission. And, like, that could have been cool. But what we got was good. I think it was a good film. And look, I love the fact that socially, we're pushing further in boundaries and boundaries. Where, again, more and more inclusion in Disney. We have an interracial couple. They have a openly gay son. Like, that's as your leads. That's really pushing some boundaries there especially for animation. So I very much appreciate it. And again, visually, design-wise, all of this is cool looking. I just wish it was put into a bit more of a unique and interesting package. Because when you really break the story down, it's just like, okay, this is the story. Nothing extreme is happening with the story, just the next hurdle in the story to get to ultimately this. Which isn't bad, it's just not going to be very memorable at the end of the day, besides maybe the design work. Anyway, I digress. So, coming in at number 4, we got Dragon Ball Super, Superhero. Oh, yeah! Look, again, saw with my friend. I actually saw a lot of films with her this year. I saw Thor: Love and Thunder with her. That's a bit. I'll have to make a list of all the films me and her saw together. Because she saw quite a few together this year. But we saw together and we're just like, yeah! Look, it's Dragon Ball Z, man. Even the worst Dragon Ball movies are entertaining in a bad way. And I am looking at you, Bio Broly. Entertaining in a very bad way. But this is not bad. Is this better than, say, Dragon Ball Super Broly? I don't know. I think Broly was the better movie. Is this better than, say, Battle of Gods? No, it's not better than Battle of Gods. It's better than Resurrection F. But for what it is, for all the films, it gives you exactly what you're asking for. It's a Gohan and Piccolo-centric film about them having to save the day from these new androids that, are the Red Ribbon Army still existing. And it gives you just that. The newer animation style. I like this newer animation style. It's carried over from Dragon Ball Super Broly. And I actually like this animation style quite a bit. So you have this newer animation. The action sequences look great. The new transformations. Beast Gohan is beast looking. Orange Piccolo is awesome. There's still a lot of... One of the things, though, that bothers me, and it's not necessarily about the movie, although... It goes towards the lore of the universe. Okay, so right now, apparently Gohan is the strongest Z fighter right now. Okay, I guess I'll accept that. Piccolo is now fight evenly with Goku and Vegeta. So there's a lot of contention on what that means. Do they mean Super Saiyan Blue Goku and Vegeta, or Vegeta Ultra Ego and Goku Ultra Instinct? What do they mean by it? There's no clarification on that. I think it means Super Saiyan Blue personally, but I have other people who think it means Super Saiyan, like Ultra Instinct and Ultra Ego. And this is the part that really bugs me, because it bugs me from a storytelling perspective, that they even says, like, oh yeah, if he had been completed, he would have been strong. Some acts would have been stronger than Broly. I'm sorry, back the hell up. Okay, so I get Cell being stronger than your average Super Saiyan, Super Namekian, even like fully realized Super Saiyan as part 4. That seemed within reason. But you're telling me that they can just build a reality-shattering level fighter. He can just do that. And by the way, I feel like, because I've always interpreted the idea that because he wasn't complete, he was mindless. He was awoken too early, so he was mindless. But they keep saying, if completed, he'd be strong. They keep using if. That tells me he wasn't completed. When you use the term if, that means you probably didn't reach the actual point. Now, if they had said when completed, he is as strong as Cell, or he was, or as Broly, or was. When he reached completion, he was as strong as Broly, but because he was awoken, he went rampant. If they had said it like that I still wouldn't have liked it, but I at least would have understood it. But the fact of the matter is, I don't like the fact that someone can just make something that strong. That, from a lore perspective, just I get Earth technology is really advanced in Dragon Ball world, but something about that just really irks me. Like you just keep power creeping, and like without any real reason for it. But B, I still think people are kind of misreading that. I don't think Cell was stronger than Broly. I think what he means is because he was awoken, he A was uncontrollable and B wasn't completed. He was woken too early. So yeah, because he has the caveat because of this he's running rampant. It's like I feel like that means he's not as strong as Broly in the movie. Had he reached true completion, he would have been stronger than Broly. Either way, I still, despite my clerical issues with it, maybe not clerical, despite my personal gripes with the lore and storytelling and all that, it's still a hell of a time. It stands above the most of the rest of these. But anyway, coming in at number 3, we have the bad guys. Bad guy, you're a bad guy. My Billie Eilish impression. The bad guys, look, I am a sucker for a good heist movie. And I'm a sucker for a good animated film. And you gave me a good animated heist film with all those, tropes of, hey, oh, really? Is that what you think happened? Wait, no! I like films like this that just have a good sense of humor, have a good sense of their identity. The heist is a lot of fun. The animation style is unique. It looks like it's taken out of a book, which is really cool, which is based off a book. I don't know if it's taken verbatim out of the book, though. The characters are a lot of fun. This is literally just a fun movie to be a part of. To just sit in there and experience it. I had a blast with it. There's not much I can say. Why does it rank higher than these? Well, it's just a perfectly cohesive film throughout the entirety of it. And I had a lot more fun with this than I did Strange World. And even with Dragon Ball. Dragon Ball Super is for the weeb in me. But this was a lot more just a standard good film overall. Like general audiences overall can like this film more than they'll like Dragon Ball because they can understand this because you don't need to understand the setup lore that Dragon Ball has. So for me, this is number 3. Coming in at number 2, our silver medal finalist is Turning Red, which by the way means you can guess what my number 1 is. Turning Red it's unfortunate for Pixar that this did not get put in the theaters. I don't know how well it would have done in theaters, but they still would have made some money. In terms of actually getting box office dollars for the movie. Whether or not it would have made some money back is a different story. But look, it is... At first, I wasn't sure how I was going to feel about it, but the longer I watched the film, the more I just fell in love with it. It's bright. It's colorful. It's relatable. It's metaphorical. It is just it's a story about, growing up, becoming you, understanding what you means, realize knowing where you stand with your relations with your parents, particularly your mothers and daughters. And yeah, it's still funny, it's still heartfelt. That final act with the basic kaiju battle of all things was not what I expected, but I was not unhappy with it. That was truly like Pixar, in like Pixar fashion. And then that very end with her in the spirit realm and her finding her mom, and man, that was just so beautiful, and the message was very clear that we are all going to go our own ways, but that doesn't mean we will not still hold the people we hold close to us, and we will not still be in some respects that person and I might be simplifying the message a little bit, but that's the message, that kind of the message I perceive from it. So yeah, without further ado, let's get to number 1, and you can kind of guess what it is. Was Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. Look, the more I sat on this film, the more I'm like, I effing love this film. I loved this film. I'm even considering going back and giving it a second watch. And I didn't see Black Panther twice. I didn't see Avatar twice. I might give this a second watch. They've upgraded the animation style. It's more akin to into the Spider-Verse. The Puss is still lovable, but now there is a relatability to him, like him actually coming to terms with mortality. And there's a scene involving him and the dog that is so sweet and heartfelt and like like an actual true level of friendship. And it makes me remember why I love cats. I actually do love cats, but why I'm a dog person over a cat person. I love both, but I will take a dog over a cat. It reminds me why I love them, and just like how they're talking to each other, how Puss is the lesson Puss is trying to ultimately has to learn. Then you get the other new characters. You get the big bad wolf, who is probably the best character in the movie by my definition. I actually heard people saw reviews of people who they spoke to their kids and did the reviews, like, what'd you think of the movie? It's like, I liked it. The wolf character was really scary, though. Like, no joke, this film earns that PG. Like, this legitimately earns the PG, because people die in this movie. And the wolf character is legitimately intimidating, I think, for kids. At least young kids. But then you get Sawpuss, you get Goldilocks and the Three Bears, you get Jack Horner is a new character in the film. Like, and they're all cool, but they all have their own stories, and they're all fun, and some of them are terrible people, but some of them are people with hurt and trauma and who have their own lessons to learn. Visually, it's so unique. The stuff they do with the Dark Forest is so unique and original. I can't help but gush about this film. I was looking forward to the film when I first saw the trailer for it. I was. But the more I saw, I'm like, okay, I'm looking forward to it. I'm like, I thought it was going to be a good film. I didn't think I was going to love it this much. I am so happy I love it this much. And like the finale of the film is, oh man, it's just kind of like a like finale, like, yeah, like, yeah, you do it, come on. Like it's something just so, it's the whole package. It actually doesn't talk down to people. It does not. It's actually smart enough to like let you kind of figure some things out. It does still obviously give you the lesson like these films do, but it doesn't do it in a sarcastic or a condescending way. It is bright. It's color. The animation is beautiful to look at. The action sequences are fun. They're fast. Some of the camera angles are really cool to watch. The characters are all likable. Even the most annoying ones, like the dog, can get annoying at points, but he ultimately comes back again with something like really likable and endearing. So the characters, even the returning character, Puss is still such a likable character, and now they've added more layer to that character. It is just, damn, I love this movie. I really love this movie. So this is my number one favorite animated film of the year. So this is my list. Have you seen all the anime films this year, or have you seen even more than me? I mean, I saw all the major ones, but I'm sure there might have been a couple smaller ones that I Wish or Luck. No, sorry, Luck. That was one was it Wish or Luck? Either way, that was a small anime film that I didn't get around to seeing. I knew it was out for a little bit, but I didn't get around to seeing it. So if you saw that, would you put it on the top 10? What would your top 10 animated film list look like? Let me know in the comments below. But until then, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, share, and subscribe. And I will see you folks later because I got to do a who would win. So have a good one.